Greetings, Patrick here. 8 questions with, and we have gremlins in the studio tonight. That's right. All right. Try to get this all situated. Two. All right. Yeah, I don't know what happened. My schedule got all cockeyed. I had to go back there and try to rearrange it as much as I could. Was saying the wrong schedule, and it's like, wow, that's not really nice. Uh, that sucks. But we got it all fixed. Hey, Jaden. Hey, Michael. How are you? Waffles in the house. Jaden's in the house. Yes, sir. So we are going to be interviewing Lauren Faulkner today. She is a triple threat, kids. She can do singing, she can do acting, and she's also a comic. So this is going to be a lot of fun talking with her because there's so much to talk about. And she'll be here in about 10 or 15 minutes or so. And yeah, I want to say again to everybody who's coming in or replay or whatnot, but I want to thank you very much for last night with our interview with Lola Vegas. Um, that was just so much fun and such an outstanding show, and you guys were so supportive. Um, wow, it was really cool. We actually hit. We actually had 16 people in here at once for yesterday's show. That's pretty rarefied air for us, and we're grateful for it. Gives us hope that there is to be out there too that we can take this thing to the next level. Um, so thank you again. As always, share us out if you will on your community tabs. That helps the stream, helps the interview, helps the show, helps the channel. Um, that'll be uh, uh, That'll be a lot of fun. Andre's in the house. We gotta figure out a date for you and I, Andre, because we're gonna bring this here, and I do have an idea. I do have an idea that I needed to run by you, but I definitely want to have you on the show in May for sure. I'm gonna make that happen. Um, Even if I have to move myself to fit your schedule, I'm gonna do that because I definitely want you to come up and talk a little bit with us. Yeah, I was watching all the fights last weekend. Cesar Andre's got me going. He actually has re-sparked my interest in boxing. I used to follow boxing when I was much younger, then I gave it up. But ever since I met Andre, I find myself reading all the boxing websites and seeing who's coming up, see who's fighting who, and it's a lot of fun. I've forgotten about it. I've forgotten how much fun it is to keep track of it. Um, Professor, welcome, welcome. That's right. I'm going to do our banner tonight for this Sunday for the Midnight Society. I'm going to do that today before I forget. I'll do that up and get that up. Um, all right. So we got some news. We got some news today. So our friend Karen Klish, who's been on the show a couple of times, she just shared the news that she has just been cast in Eli Roth's brand new horror extravaganza Thanksgiving, which was actually based on a fake trailer for Machete. Uh, I believe that's where it was, or no, Planet Terror, and Death Proof. They had a fake trailer for a horror film called Thanksgiving, and they are going to be making that movie. They've had some mixed success with this. I think Machete came out of that and did very well. Do two movies came out, did very well, and then I think Hobo with a Shotgun was another one, and that film, while it didn't turn it up at the box office, it did pretty much become almost an instant cult classic. Um, in fact, even today, whenever there's a Dollar Tree haul for people doing Dollar Tree hauls, somebody down that line, down the wave, will be going up there and saying, "I got a copy of the Hobo with a Shotgun." They made a lot of the copies of that movie, and it's out there. So Karen is going to be on the show on Thanksgiving. She's going to be in the movie, and congratulations to her, and congratulations to Eli Roth for having the foresight to cast an excellent actress like Karen. Uh, yeah, I think they're awesome people. Um, I do. I don't. I'm very proud to sit there and say that I don't book per looks. That's for sure. I book per talent. That's what I look for. I look for talent. What they look like after that is just, what it is. But I always look for the talent because that's what I think is more exciting for me, is to talk to somebody who has that creative energy about them. Um, that the fact that they're all pretty, that's just a bonus. That's just a bonus. We also want to go ahead and give up, have you guys keep our friend Dylan Fawn Harvey in your thoughts and prayers. She was involved in a motorcycle accident and she got banged up pretty good. She showed some pictures of herself, and yeah, she's going to be walking around gingerly for the next few weeks. She has a compression fracture in her back and heavily bruised up. But she was wearing her helmet, and she did have some her gear on, and so that really saved her a lot. That saved her from serious injury. So keep her in your thoughts and prayers and help her get a quick healing. Uh, All right, calendar time. We've been busting our ass for April. We got some good stuff coming in April. Next week, I'll start announcing some of it once I get a few more dates put in place. I do know I will be telling you right now that I do have a Grail guest that will be coming onto the show next month. I have been hoping that this interview was going to happen, and it actually two. There's two Grail guests. One's date I haven't firmed up yet, but I will. And one's date is firmed up, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And sensational film director. You guys got to see his work. Absolutely insane. Absolutely insanity. Um, and he'll be on the show next month. All right. So tonight, on the 21st. Of course, like I said, we have the lovely Lauren Faulkner will be here, and she is a triple threat. She can sing, she can act, and she's a comic. So we will be that's gonna be a lot of fun. I just said that once. I'll say it twice. I'll say it four times. Fun times with Lauren. Tomorrow night we had the lovely Audrey Neal will be here with us. We had to reschedule Audrey till tomorrow because she was working, so we were glad to do so, and she will be here tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. And then on the 23rd, we have Angel Bradford will be here, and she is a very much in demand horror actress right now. Everybody wants her on her project. Everybody. If you're making a movie, there's one thing you're doing is calling to see about the availability of Angel Bradford. It definitely does seem that way, and that's awesome. All right. So the 27th, we have the Dolls of Horror will be here with us on the next Monday at 9 p.m. 9 p.m. start time. We're starting an hour early or later for that show. We're starting an hour later. So it's going to be a good show. It's going to be one of a few podcasters that we're hopefully going to be able to get on the show and talk a little bit with them. I've been trying to get a little bit more of those onto the show. I think it's fun. I like showcasing like I said, I like showcasing other abilities, other talents, and Summer and um, I get talking so much. Summer and Jamie will be here with us, and they're gonna tear it up. I already love those two ladies already. They're a lot of fun, and they'll be here on the 27th at 9 p.m. On the 28th, we have producer and makeup artist Jamie Apple will be here with us. She just produced a new film called Craving that we'll be talking with her about that. We already talked to one of the stars of that film, and Kevin Caliber. Well, now we'll be talking to one of the people who helped produce the movie and did the makeup on it, and that'll be. I think she just produced it, but she does have other movies that we'll be talking about that she has done makeup on. On the 29th, we have one show on the 29th. We're going to be on the air at 2 p.m. We're not doing the doubleheader, normal Europe, the doubleheader. Every time we go to Europe, we do 2 shows. We're only going to do one show. We're going to do one at 2 o'clock on the 29th. So Wednesday night, we will be dark. And then on the 30th, to close out the month for us, we have the lovely Christy Adams will be back with us from Nightmare Toys. Always a very popular guest, always fun to talk to, always has fun things to share. And she'll be here with us right before convention season starts, before it kicks off. So we're really lucky to have her before she gets insanely busy for the rest of the summer. And then on the 1st of April, I can tell you this. Like, well, I'll also just do this, just to whet the appetite a little bit. So February there it is. So April 1st, which is a Saturday, we have a special show with us on Saturday at 4 p.m. We have a show with us. We have a matinee show with us at 4 p.m. With Beatrice Boppel will be here with us. I want to make sure I did that right. I did. She'll be here with us at 4 p.m. on Saturday afternoon. 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Pacific Time. Beatrice Boppel will be here with us on Saturday, April 1st. And then on the 4th of April, we welcome back our good friend Dennis Mallon will be back with us. We have not had him on the show in almost a year. We do know that he has been incredibly busy, including popping up on a Super Bowl commercial. So we'll be talking to Dennis about that adventure and what doors it's opened up for him. Doing a commercial for a Super Bowl is a great way to get a lot of work. So that show will be at 8 o'clock. On April 5th, we have Tim Shockey will be here with us at 8 p.m. And speaking of conventions, he is a convention mainstay. He has done a ton of conventions. He is well known for his car collection, including the car from the movie. I want to say Trucks, but it's not Trucks. Maximum Overdrive. That's what it is. Maximum Overdrive. The Green Goblin truck from Maximum Overdrive. He tours with his vehicle for all across the conventions, all across the country, and so he'll be showing up here, and we'll be talking about the story of Maximum Overdrive, plus his story about how he got the Green Goblin and what's it mean in pop culture. Pop culture wise is pretty well known, pretty famous. And then on the 6th, we also have another returning guest, which I'm super happy about that. We will be welcoming in screenwriter, film director, and now novelist Michael Cassie will be with us. He'll be with us on April 6th. That's a Thursday. It's been way overdue to have Michael back, but I'm glad he is. He's got a new book he's going to be talking about. And then on the 7th, April 7th, on Friday at 8 p.m., I will be joined by special co-host Hobbs from Hobbs Horror. Him and I will be interviewing Marshall Teague on April 7th. Marshall Teague, his calling card there's 2 calling cards he has. One is Roadhouse and 2 is Walker, Texas Ranger. Me personally, I'm going to be talking to him about Armageddon, American Geddon. That's an interesting movie choice. I so want to talk to him about that. He's also appeared on such shows as Monty Walsh. He's also appeared on Mama's Family. There are a ton of his credits are many. He is gearing up to go to be a part of Dead Slate, which is being put out by Ghost Walk Films. All right, so we have a ton old stuff coming up here on the channel. Glad you guys are here for that. And our guest will be here momentarily. All right. In fact, there she is. There is our guest. So let's go get our guest. Thank you guys for coming in. And here we go. Let's go get Lauren. Well, I was getting her. Huh. Okay, hold on here. I think she's having trouble getting in here. Hold on one second here. Yeah. All right. Let's see if Lauren can hear me. Oh, she's trying to get in. You might need to open it up with Chrome. Open up the link with Chrome. All right. Hey, Mr. Bones, how are you? How are you? Our guest will be here momentarily. Oh, you got American? No way. Oh man, we got to talk about that. We got to talk about that movie. Man, that movie was a trip. That movie was a trip. Man, that's I did I you know I thought honest to God I thought I was the only person that had a copy of that. Um, that's uh, there she is. Yay! Oh, what she was there, then she's gone. All right, we're just having a couple of tech problems here. Oh, I didn't think this. All right. She is having a little bit of tech problems, but we'll see if we can work it out here. Uh, I'm trying to think of what to do. Um, All right. We're still working on it. We're still working on it. Yeah, Armageddon, Americageddon. Wow, I was shocked.
Oh,
There you are.
there we go.
Ta-da!
Just had to restart Chrome, and that fixed it.
There we go. There we go. Uh, yeah, we're sitting here stunned that we in a really rare piece of I mean, this is just like a miracle. Um, there's this movie called Americageddon that they made, and I think there's only 2 copies that were sold, and lo and behold, the 2 people who bought the copies of the movie happen to be in the same chat tonight. I mean, the odds of that are pretty slim and pretty slim.
Yeah,
I
I would say
was
so.
just, yeah. Have you ever watched a movie? Have you ever watched a movie that you didn't, like you never seen it before? You just sit down. I mean, you absolutely know nothing about it at all. You go out there, you blind watch it or blind buy it,
Hmm.
and you watch it, and you go like, "What am I watching? And how did I get here?" You ever
Oh
have
yeah.
any of those moments?
Oh yeah.
Uh, that is exactly what happened with me with Amerigeddon. I bought it. I bought it because it had Dina Meyer in it.
Uh
So
huh.
I'm like, okay, so I'm a Dina Meyer fan. And so I go ahead and I buy it and I go home and I go like, all right, got snacks, got a cold drink. I sit down and I watch it and I'm sitting there going like, my mouth is just like, I was just like totally blown away by it. And not necessarily because I mean, it was different. It was different. It was like, it's something I wouldn't have ever expected to saw her do.
Yeah.
Or any of the other, well, yeah, actually any of the other actors too. I was just like, I just never would have thought they would have did a movie like this. But it was just a really weird experience. So welcome to the show. We got some people in the chat. I was want to say, can you see the chat okay? Or will you need me to talk to tell you what's going on?
I see the chat. I assume.
Okay. Because I
Yeah.
see, I think your friend Mark is here. Mark Aaron. He says, Lauren.
Hi, Mark Aaron. Oh my God.
So there we go. See. Ant Review thinks is in the house. Mr. Bones, our good friend Echo, and the professor is here. All right, so we're gonna have a fun night. We're gonna have a fun night. Welcome to the show. Sorry we're running a little bit late. Sometimes tech issues happen. Makes it all that more exciting. Live television, right?
Yeah.
Or live theater, or
Yeah.
stand up,
Or
or
stand
stand up.
up. Yeah.
Or stand up, yes. I was really impressed that you are a true triple threat. You are a stand up comic, you are a singer, and an actress. Now, I
Yes.
guess the real question is, what are you first?
Oh, I'm an actor first, for sure.
An actress first, and then it would be comics, then singing, or singing and then comic.
Yeah, I think the comedy, the comedy is kind of like, it's like I guess a branch off of the acting. Um, I've always felt like comedy was my strong suit, so it just made sense to start picking up the comedy. I'd been encouraged to do stand up by a lot of people for a long time, and finally embarked on that path last April. So we're coming up on a year of doing stand up.
I bet it's different, isn't it?
It it is, but it isn't. I mean, it's so familiar to me because I started out in theater before I ever, had any type of experience with film or television. So it's like live theater, and it's just you. It's we're one man show.
Now, before we get too deep into it, though, you're during the comedy aspect of it, do you feel like comedy is alive and well, but seems more underground than it has been in the past, because it doesn't seem there's like a lot of comedy. I mean, like stand-up comedy. I mean, we got talk shows and stuff like that, but as far as true comedy goes in front of a crowd, it seems like it's going a little bit more and more underground. Do you sense that too? Or do you think you think that is still pretty much in the mainstream?
I mean, maybe it's because I'm in a city where I would be exposed to mainstream comedy more frequently. Uh, but I haven't gotten that sense. I think comedy has changed just like every other aspect of the industry, but I guess I feel like it's gone underground. It's still fairly mainstream. I think, I'm sure some people in this chat have probably seen a Netflix special or what have you from, the top tier comedians. So yeah,
We
no,
we
not underground, I don't think.
Yeah, I think we have. I mean, Dave Chappelle being the last name, has done a special. I know Chris Rock just did one too,
Mhm.
but even the one with Dave Chappelle, it was attacked. It was attacked
Right,
when he was making it. It was attacked when he released it. Everybody was attacking him, and to me, it's like, wow, like if they're going after, if a guy like that, if a guy like that is under attack and and taking a beating in the papers and whatnot, on social media or whatnot. I mean, he's top tier.
right,
What's it like for someone who's, like maybe a couple of levels down, or just wants to get going in the business? Like they get out there, they're like, I've been told I was funny, so I'm going to go out there and I'm going to go ahead and write. I'm going to write a set. I'm going to write a set. I'm going to get out there. I'm going to do my, I'm going to get the ball rolling. But then
mhm,
you go out there and now you're facing, like, it's no longer just like the audience is there to laugh, with you. Now it seems like they're more there to be butthurt, like that's the goal, is to be offended. And it forces, to me it's like, because it's pretty clear that, free speech is under attack here in the United States. Um, Definitely. And I just think that as a comic, have you seen any aspect of that? Have you changed your writing style or your delivery style or the manner of jokes that you started off with compared to now? I know it's a big question.
yeah, no, it's a good question, and it's one that I've thought about. And I wouldn't say that I'm intentionally staying away from political or mainstream topics in my comedy. I'm not like afraid to go there, but they don't really feel like me. I think there are other comedians who deliver that material better, or who that material is better suited for. But coming out of me performing that type of material, it doesn't necessarily fit. I think, being a comedian, it's as much about your material as it is your brand, and I don't think that that's my brand. So that, in a way, I guess maybe, shields me from some of that backlash. But I have gotten, I posted some of my material on YouTube and have gotten um some less than favorable comments, which I encourage.
Mhm.
It's all good feedback to me, whether it's negative or it's not. If nobody's talking, that's the problem. So even if people are talking and maybe it's negative, they don't like this joke or that joke. I can't help that. I'm
Are
not
they
going to be
really?
everybody's cup of tea, but I think I'm funny.
I guess there's two ways of looking at it, though. I mean, are they writing a negative comedy, comments because they don't really think it's funny, or are they writing comments to the fact that you shouldn't be talking about topics like bring up certain topics? It's a big difference. I mean, one is sitting there going like, yeah, I didn't think that was a very funny. I didn't think that was funny. I think, I was like, it didn't leave me, it didn't leave me, laughing. versus the one that's sitting there going like, well, why are you making fun of this person, or why are you making fun of that, or why, directed it. That the one that bother me most would be the ones that are directing their anger or their comments toward a specific subject, more than just in general, like, yeah, I just didn't find the set funny, because that does happen.
Yeah. Um, I guess for me, like I haven't gotten any, negative feedback face to face. But not that I mean, that when the day happens, it happens. And, I'll probably have a comeback ready. But
I'm
for,
sure.
for YouTube, YouTube is a different ball game, right? Because you have a shield, you have, notoriety, or like anonymity to an extent. I can't, I'm not talking with you face to face, so people can say whatever they like. They're either being truthful that they really don't like the comedy, or they're just trying to get a rise out
Yeah.
of me or whatever it is. But
Why why do people feel like why do they feel like they should, I don't know, I never gotten this. I've always looked at it like this. Like, why would you think about stepping up to a comic and getting into a battle of wits with them? It's like fighting an unarmed man, or it's like going up to Tyson Fury and slapping his face. It's like, you might be able to get the first word in, you might get the first slap in, but after that, your ass is grass. I personally don't understand why I would never come at any comic. I just wouldn't. I just wouldn't, because I would not want them to be turned on me, because they're very good. There's a reason why a lot of people come out there to see you perform, is because you are very funny, and you do have a good style about you, and you can, and when I see people trying to heckle a comic and then get just blown out of the building, it's just like, you just want to shake your head and go like, maybe you should have rethought about having that last Bud Light before you walked inside the venue. Um,
yeah,
um, so we're gonna come back to comedy, because we got some comments here. Let's see. Yes, Mark Aaron, I like you already, sir. Your first time here, and I like you already. Let's see. Hey Drew, how are you? How are you? Uh, let's see. Professor Macabre mentions you're an actress, singer, comedian. Not only does she like horror movies, she's been in a few. I feel thrillers too. Because that would be the quadrilogy of awesomeness. So I
oh,
guess basically what the professor's saying is like, what horror movie is floating your boat at the moment?
I love horror. It's like one of the, it's that genre that, like, when you find someone else who likes it too, it's like a freak out moment, because not everybody does. And I like all of it. Like, I like all the styles. I mean, I like your slasher, like, pornographic flicks, and I like your more like psychological, twisted kind of horror, um, and everything in between. Um, I think the most recent horror I watched was Barbarian,
Okay.
and um, yeah, I mean, I don't know if we're like doing a review. I find this a lot when I watch horror, is I love the build. I'm always with it right up until the very end, and then
Slow burns.
sometimes,
You like slow burns?
yeah, but for that one, I get this sense that, like, they did this incredible, lovely, build all the way up into the end, and then it just sort of like, it's like a very quick, like, it's done. My favorite horror film of all time is The Descent.
Nice, nice.
Um, I I can't say enough good things about that one. I mean, no flaws, no complaints. I could watch it today, even though I've seen it several times, and it would still get me.
It's funny. It's like, you're gonna be, people here in the chat. I'll see. Talk about getting roasted. I'm gonna get roasted in about 3, 2, 1, and then once I say this, I'm sure it's gonna happen. So, I already know it, so I'll just embrace it. Uh, but while I have not yet seen The Descent, no, I have not. But I did see another movie that the lead actress in that movie did, Shauna
Uh-huh.
McDonald. She did called White Room.
White
Man,
Room.
that
Okay, I've never seen
that was
that, but
actually the movie. I did a review of it about it came out about 3 or 4 years ago, and
okay,
that actually was my number one film of the year for me. It was
okay,
so good. It's sort of like a dystopian science fiction, and it had it stars Sean McDonald and Aded Ferrer from the Mummy series,
uh-huh,
and it's so good. It raises it's a different kind of horror film, and it also brings into a lot of moral questions. It's just a really great little film that nobody really knows about, but
yeah.
man, it really stuck with me, big time. Um, yes, I will be seeing The Descent. I do have it, so I will watch it. You know,
It's a good one.
do you ever find yourself when people ask you, like, "Have you seen Scream 6 yet?" And you find yourself going like, I haven't seen it, but how am I gonna tell that to all my friends I still haven't seen the movie yet?" And they're gonna be sitting there going like, "What's wrong with you?" You ever had those moments?
Well, yeah, I think everyone, used to be you had that moment like every so often, and now I have it like every other day because there's just so much content out there that it's become impossible to consume everything. Um, so as much stuff as I try to watch all the time, especially because I mean, for me, it's not just entertainment. Some of the time I'm watching stuff because I genuinely am trying to do research and learn about this director or this production house or whatever it is. But yeah, now it's like I still all the time. No, I haven't seen this. I haven't seen that, and that's the way it's always going to be. I think.
Yeah, because sometimes I feel because sometimes when you see, see, yeah, so you're already saying, roast him. Thanks a lot, Star Lord. Let's see, see, let me go back up here because I saw a couple of comments here. Mark mentioned about art not yes, art not is not safe. Yeah, it is not safe right now. It's sort of scary how much under attack it really is by the same people who run around yelling freedom. Um, let's see. And then he also mentions that you are very hilarious. So he has seen your set and he thinks that you're awesome. Let's
He
see.
knows me, so he's
Well, I'm sure he's unbiased. I'm sure he's just telling it like it is. I I I trust Mark. I trust Mark's voice. Let's see. Mark's mentioning The Devil's Reject all the way. That's his favorite movie, horror movie. That's awesome. Some people said that people have not even seen the first Scream. Let's see. And found footage horror needs to make a strong comeback. Yes.
yeah,
You know what? Yeah. I makes me laugh when I think about a lot of people. They'll come out now and they'll sit there. They say they hate the Blair Witch Project, and yet when that movie came out, everybody loved it. Everybody. I didn't know anybody who didn't like it. I mean, I think people got really upset with it, not because it was a bad movie. I think the reason why they're upset with a movie like that is because they got scared. They got taken in.
yeah.
I
I
think
think that's one of those movies that even if you don't know anything about horror, like you know what that is, you've been exposed to that, you've heard something about that film at some point. So I mean, it has that recognition for a reason. I think.
um, so let's go back to your beginnings. Where were you born and raised at?
I was born and raised in southwestern Virginia, not West Virginia, but the southwestern portion of Virginia. So I actually spent a lot of time growing up in West Virginia. Uh, and yeah, I was there up until about, it's coming up on 8 years for me in Los Angeles this September.
Yeah, you went to school back then in Virginia, right? Radford, right?
Yes. I went to Radford University. That's how I know Mark Aaron. Um,
Oh,
yeah,
um,
studied theater and English there, and yeah,
I,
um,
there's some really good acting schools at universities in the South. I think a lot of people would be surprised by that. Um, I mean, most people think, you go to school for acting, you go to like the West Coast or New York or maybe Chicago. But it seems like the South has a lot of really good theater departments. So how did you end up going to Radford? I mean, did you win a scholarship? Did you go because of the acting school, theater, mm, the theatrical school?
you
Boy,
know, I'd applied to several schools in the area, and Radford just seemed like the best fit for me. I don't think, just being 18 years old and straight out of high school, I hadn't given. I think about this now. I didn't give much thought to where I was going. Oddly enough, I knew I wanted to study theater, and I needed to go in state because that's my parents had sort of like uh, did this thing where they set aside this money when I, every year from the time I was born to when I was 18, and that tuition needed to go for a school that was in state. So that was kind of the only, like, qualifying aspect of where I went to school. Is it in Virginia? And but I think everybody probably says this, but I couldn't imagine having gone anywhere else. I feel like I got a great education in theater and performance. And also, I learned so many other aspects for theater that I still utilize. I've studied set construction and prop fabrication and lighting and design and costuming and makeup. And all of those things have been beneficial to me since I've been out here. So I'm super glad to have gone to Radford.
Um, I was too. I was really hyped up until yesterday, and then I wasn't so hyped up because your school beat my school in a basketball game, and I was just like, man, this is just
I
not my
can't.
league.
I can't speak on the sports. I,
Did what kind of social activities did you like doing at Radford? Did the drama class all stay together? Did you guys all were a group?
oh yeah, I
Were
think
you
we
close knit?
were. Nobody throws a party like theater kids. So even now, I have people out in LA. I mean, I guess actors in general, like we know how to throw a party, and we know how to execute a theme. Because we're used to playing characters and wearing costumes. I mean, that's our job. So that transfers over into when we party. I mean, having a theme party. I don't ever really remember us having much or many parties that were not themed. So,
Um,
and yeah. Besides that, like predominantly it was theater, but I was a tour guide for the university at one point. That was fun, but yeah, most of my activities revolved around theater because I would have class and then I would have rehearsal and I would assist with like prop fabrication and set building for the shows. So a lot of my time was taken up with theater, which was great.
I'm sure as we're talking, I'm sure once a few of the independent filmmakers hear this interview, I think your phone's going to probably ring a little bit more. The fact of the matter is that it says here, Mark's saying that you're a badass carpenter. So
I am.
we got to put that out. And then he also mentioned Dirty Disney.
Dirty Disney. I mean, that's more or less what it sounds like. We would, the party Disney themed, and you would show up as Cinderella with a little less fabric.
Holy cow! That's that would be entertaining, to say the least. When did you know that you were? When did you know that you were going to become an actress? Was that something you always knew? You maybe hitting junior high, or like this is something I want to do. What were your parents' reaction to it? Were they 100% behind it, or were they they're going, are you sure?
Um, hold that thought. I'm gonna let a cat in.
Thank God. That's bonus points for cats.
Yeah, I have a few. Yes. So I always kind of knew. Um, when I was growing up, I just wanted to entertain. I would write songs and do performances for anybody who would watch or listen. And then when I was 7, I started going to dance class. And from there, I started taking acting lessons and voice lessons and just anything to do with performance. I wanted to get involved, and I would do community theater, and we would go to local talent competitions. And if anybody's from the East Coast, you might be familiar with 4-H. I did that. And so as came time to graduate high school, and it's like, what are you going to do? I didn't really have a second thought. I was like, well, I've already devoted a good percentage of my childhood to performance, and I still love it. So I think that's what I want to do. Um, my parents, I don't think they ever weren't supportive, but I think like anybody, they probably were concerned, is this going to be something that she ultimately succeeds in? Is it going to be something that supports her? And I think that maybe those thoughts are still there sometimes because, this isn't a linear business. Just because I book a film doesn't mean that I book another film.
Right.
You hope that's the case, but that's just not how it works. So yeah, I would say they are supportive. They were never discouraging of me pursuing this career path, which I think was very important. Somebody had to drive me to all those things before I was 16, so that was supportive.
Yes, yes, yes. Um, so what did you were you was it a big difference between going being in high school or in your college or your community college or community theater, and then going to university? Were you prepared for the rigor? Because we've heard from other actors how drama is not I know they showcase it like big and glamorous, but it's really a very hard discipline. I mean, you have to bust your ass. You're out there for hours during the day. Were you prepared for that at first?
No, but I immediately rose to the occasion. um I didn't study theater when I was in high school. I had never had theater in a classroom. Everything I knew about performance was things that I had sort of picked up on or taught myself, or I had watched on TV, or, we used to do improv. But I'd never had, very rigorous formal education in theater and performance. And I remember that summer before my freshman year of college, we had homework to do before we got there. You were supposed to have had read these 5 different plays by the time you arrived, for this one particular class, because we don't want to waste time during the semester reading these things. Let's just already have them read, and then we can start discussing them as soon as we get to class. So that was kind of like a whoa. Okay, this is
Right.
we have a lot of stuff to read. We got a lot of stuff to study, and I think. Um, I remember, getting to college and getting to school, and there being people that I was in class with who slowly weren't there anymore. They just disappeared because I think people think that it's this fun thing where we just like run around and, do acting and be crazy and silly. And it's
Mm-mm.
a lot more rigorous than that. Like I said, I spent.
Were you surprised? Were you surprised about that? I mean, did you read all your books over the course of the summer, or did you cram them in the last month?
I'm pretty sure I'm sure I waited somewhat to the last minute, but I definitely had all those books read before I went because I just didn't know you think, it's your first time going to college. I have nothing to compare it to other than high school, which, I knew it was going to be different. So I'm just thinking, shit, I don't want to arrive at this class and, what if everyone else is taking this way more seriously than me? I don't want to be the one who didn't read her material over the summer and therefore now is making a bad impression, like in my
Right.
freshman year. So it, you know what? And I remember saying this to some of my professors, I think, in a performance review. My first semester, maybe even my first year of school at Radford, with theater, I, to some degree, was turned off from performance because it was a bit of a shock. Because up until that point, a lot of what I had been doing was self-taught, and that had gotten me relatively far in terms of like, people saying, "Oh, you're really good at this, and you should pursue this." And I'm thinking like, "Hi, I do a pretty good job." And then you get to school, and the rug kind of gets ripped out from under you because now you have all these like these tactics and like styles to learn and things that you want to be thinking about as you're performing. And initially, it was all very overwhelming. And it felt like it took all of the fun out of performing until it didn't, until it all started to like gel and like mix together and land up in the noggin. And then I didn't know how I ever worked without all of that stuff. So
So once you hit your stride, you knew you were in the right place.
yeah. I hung in there. That's actually why I picked up an additional major. I didn't just fully step away from theater, but I thought, what if I ultimately don't do this? I want to have something else. So I picked up English as well. So I double majored. Double majored, got both degrees in 4 years.
Wow, very impressive. Do you like?
Yeah.
Did you like studying? Did you like school?
I did like school, oddly enough. I like being in a classroom. Sometimes I miss that now. I just like learning about stuff. I think YouTube is really good for that. A lot of what I watch on YouTube, I don't watch a lot of stuff for entertainment purposes on YouTube. I'm usually watching things that are teaching me something, even if it's something that I would likely never use. I guess I just like the mental stimulation, I suppose.
Except for
Yeah,
this show, except for 8 questions.
yeah.
Hey, I made the comic laugh. Yes, 1 point for me.
Yeah.
I just real curious. How many cats do you have?
So technically, I have three. I should only have two. I was fostering an additional two, so I had four up until about a month ago. I finally was able to get one adopted, so I still have one available for adoption. And as much as I love him, I do live in a studio apartment, and it is crowded with me and three cats. So would like to go back down to just two.
I think that's terribly sweet. Um, so here you are. I can't. You graduate. You graduate with a double major. So did you always know that you were going to go to Los Angeles? Was that always the game plan, or or that just happen after you graduated and you needed a direction to go?
That just sort of happened. Well, I knew that I needed to be somewhere else, obviously. Either back in that time, like 8 years ago, was either going to be New York or Los Angeles. Now you can kind of get away with going to some other places within the US to get your performance career started. But I actually, and the reason I said that learning all those other aspects of theater, like stagecraft and lighting and those things benefited me was at the end of college, I accepted a technical theater internship with a theater about 2.5 hours north of LA. And I went there for the summer to do like a summer carpentry internship for this theater. So that got me moved out here. So I was in the middle of California first, just for that first summer. I always tell people it's like one of the best summers I ever had because it was like you got up at 7 a.m. and you went and you built stuff out in the sun from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. and then you like went out with your friends and you went to bed and you got up the next day and you did it all again. And sounds super simple, but that was a great summer.
Did you get to hit the stage during that summer?
I mean, did I get to be on the stage
Yeah,
or
yeah.
just for building? Didn't
Oh,
do any performing that summer, which was okay. I later because it was just for like 3 months or so, and I knew I was contacted by a couple of guys who I had gone to school with at Radford who were moving to LA and they needed a third roommate. So that's how I came to move down to LA immediately after the internship.
um, so what do you like about Los Angeles now compared to when you first got here? What are some of the biggest changes you've seen in your 8 years?
Well, I
And
think
pros and cons, either one.
I don't think there's any performer right now who would not say the biggest change to this industry came because of the pandemic. I rarely, if ever, go to a physical in-person audition. Most of my auditions are done right here at home or at a service. Uh, and because of that, I remember occasionally doing self tapes a long time, like when I first got here, and that was kind of like an odd thing, like maybe if you were trying to book a job in New York, and the casting directors were in New York, well, you would have to send, you'd have to make your tape here and then send it to them there, and you only had to do that every so often. But now, you know, because we're so reliant upon these self tapes, the caliber of these self tapes, like the quality that is expected, I think has bumped up a bit. I mean, I have a ring light in front of me now. I never would have had that before. We have backdrops. I've got two tripods. I know how to edit now fairly well, I think, because you kind of have to. So we just adapt, and because of adapting, I feel like I've learned new skill sets, but I don't think anything will ever be a true substitute for being in a room immediately across from somebody and getting to take direction from them in the moment. So I do miss that.
Uh, so let's get to your career because you've had a very fun career so far.
Yeah.
Uh, yes, you've had some fun. And you're still having some fun. So talk to us about the very first thing that you booked.
Oh, well, uh in my first few years here, I was trying to, obviously build the resume and build the reel. I mean, that's what you're doing. You're building the resume, you're building the reel because you're hoping it gets you to bigger and better things. So I did a lot of short films, and a few of those have been horror shorts. I did a short film back in 2018. It was called Caroline. I was the title role, and it was like a modern, darker take on the story of Rapunzel. So I'm kept in this home with my mother, and she's the only one that's allowed to leave, and I'm stuck in there with her. And I guess it's kind of like a live action retelling of it, if you will. But it was pretty dark, and it was well received. I got some acting awards for that one, so that was cool. And then a few years later, I did a bit of a higher budget short film that I think ultimately was meant as like a proof of concept to hopefully have a bigger film later. But that one was called Feeder, and I really liked working on that film because it was kind of like it was like a clearly set in the future, which there were hints of like maybe this is set in the future at the very beginning of the film because there's a transaction that took place that, was not via credit card or money. I think it may have been something chipped to the wrist. I can't remember exactly. But I got to drive my car in that film, my actual personal car, and had like
Right.
a rig mounted to the hood of my car to for the camera to be so that the camera could be on myself and my like co-star as I drove. Um,
So you guys
and
can have dialogue.
yes, so we could have dialogue in the car. We shot this on top of this mountain in Southern California, and it actually ended up snowing for the shots where we were finally both exiting the vehicle. So there's a clip in that. It's called Feeder, and it's on Alter, which the YouTube channel Alter that features a lot of different horror short films. It's on
Right.
there. And it's snowing, and I have a bit in that where I'm like, I'm like catching all of the snow. Um, and then I've done some like horror immersive type theater since I've been here. And then as
What
far
is
as like
what is that?
um,
Yeah, can you explain that? Is that like is that improv horror?
no, so immersive being like, it's not theater like we think of it in the traditional sense where you're coming in and you're sitting in this, you're in the house sitting and then you've got the stage, or, if you're familiar with a black box, you've got you're maybe you're in the center and it's in the round and you've got, audience all around you. With immersive, it's kind of, the way the audience could be sitting, it may change throughout the show. The performance space and the audience space may be one and the same. As was, I went to see a show this past Sunday where it was set like the performance was that of a church congregation, and so the entire black box is set up like a church, but you've got all your audience sitting in the same place as you have all of your actors. Um, and you've got actors who are also churchgoers coming up and sitting next to you and talking to you just like you were also there for the church service. So I've done stuff like that. I did a show where we built this moving cart, and we sort of set up this like trail throughout the theater for this cart to move, and so only two people could be in
Oh,
this cart at a time, and they would be driven up to these very short quick like 5-second little like bits with people, and then they would move somewhere else, and then they would have like another quick like uh
so
visual.
they're driving through the theater, interacting with the audience.
Yes.
Oh wow, that's so cool. I don't think I've ever heard anybody doing that before.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's a theater in North Hollywood. It's called Zombie Joe's, and they're always doing shows, and it's all. I never know what to expect when I come in there. Every time I see a show, I'm always sitting somewhere completely different. Sometimes I'm in the floor. Sometimes there's actual seating. Sometimes I'm standing up. Like I think one time I was there, like I was at a party. It was set up like a party, and so I'm interacting with all these actors as if we're all at the party. So it's just fun. I love like consuming theater like that, because then you sort of feel, I mean, there's a reason it's called immersive, because you really are just immersed in it.
Wow, that's. I mean, I know that Rocky Horror could be considered immersive because you're always interacting with the audience with it. I
To a
guess that would
degree.
be like, yeah, to a degree, but not
Well,
quite like that. Do you look for it? Do you look for challenges like that? Is that what really does that stimulate your creativity to do something cool like that versus just a traditional theatrical play? I mean, to me, this sounds like something that would be really very difficult to do. Um, you know, just much, more so maybe even on the stage because are you going to be allowed to improvise? Do the actors, like I mean, how do you win a role for that? How do you audition to do an immersive role like that? How do
yeah.
are you just show up and they sit there and give you a brief synopsis of what we're going to be doing, and then you go with it. I mean, it's a challenging parts like that. Definitely in your wheelhouse.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I'm sure every performance or a rehearsal process for them is different. Um, so they would rehearse it just like you would rehearse a traditional play, um, and just in this case, you're likely. I mean, you're most definitely going to have some improv training or experience if you're going to be interacting with a different audience all the time. Um, And just like with if you were to go through a haunted house or something like that, or if you were
Yeah.
at like Universal Studios, they're like Halloween Horror Nights. It's sort of expected that like as guests, you don't intentionally try to do any harm to these performers. But I mean, I guess that's something that you're always kind of like you could be subjected to when you're putting yourself in the same space as your audience. So it comes with a different set of risks and like but yeah, it is a challenge. I love improv, so and I like engaging with people in general, so I enjoy that kind of theater, but I also enjoy the traditional theater up on the
Right.
grand stage too. So
Um, I like to ask this question too, especially to artists that have a strong theatrical background. What would you rather act in? Would you rather act in a revival of, say, you know, 42nd Street, or Cats, or Phantom of the Opera, or would you rather tackle a original play that no one knows anything about?
I definitely think I would like to tackle the original play. Um, like
Yeah.
there's something about being it's kind of like you're discovering that character for the first time. Like there exists no other frame of reference, no other visual taping of that play that you can watch. No one else has done it or talked about it before, and so you're kind of laying the foundation for what that show is or what it could be. And assuming it goes well and you're able to do that new play or new show well, it may inspire others to remount it or do it later, and then you sort of become like the example or the original version of that. I mean, that would be really cool.
Um, Mark just mentioned, he mentioned Cabaret.
Yeah,
You done Cabaret.
we did cabaret. We did cabaret my junior year of college, and that was quite the experience because um, it wasn't just about familiar with cabaret. I mean, it's a musical that has a lot of performance, like a
Yeah.
cabaret. And we had students from the dance department, from the music department, obviously our actors. And it was a big collaboration amongst the different segments of like the, you know, of all the performance students from our dancers and our actors, our singers, and our musicians. Um, big collaborative show, and well received, which I know is because most of the girls, we were all in lingerie, but I think otherwise it was a great show.
Yeah. Lingerie will definitely up the acceptance quota a little bit,
It certainly will.
But you know what though? I mean, it's a good story.
Yes, it
Um,
is. Yeah,
um, it came out in the early '70s. It had, I believe it was James Caan and Liza Minnelli.
yeah.
I think they were in that movie. Yeah. Um, yeah. So I take it you really do like being part of a company. I mean, if you were to do like a improv comic group, are you part of a comic group too right now? Improv group?
I'm not. I've taken improv classes, and I've done like if you take an improv class here, a lot of times you'll have like a graduation show. Um, but I'm not actually I've never, been involved with an actual improv group or troupe. Might be
That's
something
something
for me to
is
do
that something
later.
you'd like to is that something you'd like try to do?
I would definitely be open to doing that, especially, maybe doing sketches or something along the lines of like a Saturday Night Live, like that kind of performance. Would love to do
Right.
that.
Um, it's sort of fun talking to you because, we're seeing this theatrical side, we're seeing the comedy side. We haven't even touched music yet, and yet you've done your fair share of horror films and thrillers. And it just seems like, I saw some of the stills that were from some of your movies, and it just really impresses me that people see you as being able to do that seamlessly. Like you would think, wow, she's a theatrical major. She does immersive theater. She sings, and all of a sudden now here she is. Now we're asking her to run around and be in these movies. The Women in Jeopardy movies and whatnot. And you're able to do that so elegantly, so seamlessly. Were you surprised at yourself when what was the first thriller that you auditioned for, and what part and that you booked? What was the first thriller that you did?
Uh um for film, if I'm being totally honest, the first actual, like, I guess horror film that I technically booked was this small film, like, shot at the home of the writer, director, editor, all the things, in San Dimas. And it was like myself and one other girl, and the plot was that, like, myself and this other girl were sisters, Sam and Samantha. And if I remember correctly, like, we were drug addicts, and I think an alien had come to, like, uh, study study us, or study, the effects of of drug addicts. Um, it was kind of, it was wild, because what I remember, the best part about that was there was like this nightmare sequence that I can't remember if I was having, or if the actor playing my sister was having. But we had this nightmare sequence where we had just had this plastic laid down in this spare room of this guy's home, and it was just a full on, like, very horrific, like, bloodbath between me and my sister, where we're kind of laughing as if we're having a great time with each other, but clearly, it's very unhinged. And at one point, like, she like pulls, like, my tongue out of my mouth, and I pull her eye out of her mouth, out of her eye, and the entire time we're just cackling, like it's the funniest thing ever. And then at some
Mhm.
point we both wake up. But it was crazy. I remember that being like the most fun part of that, because we're just like, it's like the craziest part in the film too. So, and that was like back in 2017. I mean, that was such a like homemade, like, this, but like it was fun.
It was your calling card. It was like was that the first time you had done horror, like a straight horror film, not without any sort of, you know, like on film? Is
Yeah.
that your first time? Yeah. So, I mean, is that when you knew that you said, well, this horror thing, I can make this work for me? Because up until that point, how did you see yourself? What kind of performer did you see yourself up till that moment where you did that movie? Did you see yourself as more as a theater? Did you see yourself more as a dramatist, a dramatic actress? How did you see yourself before you did your first horror film?
I remember when I first got here, it's hard to make the switch between the two. If you're, primarily someone who does film and you're trying to go to the stage, or vice versa, it's not like, one can do the other exactly, easily. It takes some getting used to get back in that way of performing. So when I first got to LA, I remember I was like way too big in my auditions, and I was just I'm projecting unnecessarily, and I'm too animated, and I'm too physical. And not only am I like that as a person, but I've been doing theater, and in theater you're trying to perform for the back of the house so that people who are way back there can still see what's going on and hear what's going on. And so, I would watch my auditions back and be like, oh my God, here I have, this little bit of space, and I'm like just all over the place. So, like, I think that was a big like wake up call for me. Like, okay, we need to work on how I'm looking on camera, but also I don't think I knew at that point like what kind of actress am I going to be. When you're just starting out, you're kind of like, I'm just going to take anything. I mean, within
Yeah.
reason. Because you just want to be working on something.
Right. Right. Um, so now that you did your first horror film, I mean that just must have just opened a lot of doors for you creatively, creative wise. Because you've done some other really fun things too. Like the Cube. Now that Cube, that was a short film. Was that based off the earlier movie? Did you ever see the first movie, The Cube? Was this based off that, or was this something that was totally original?
I did not. If it was based off of that, there wasn't any discussion of that. So I don't. Shucks, I don't know. I don't know.
Um,
Um,
you do know that comedians, comedians, they actually transfer better to horror and dramatics. I mean, they can do that. I mean, when you think about it, talking about Barbarian, and we see Justin Long in that movie. For the most part, when people mention Justin Long, the first thing they think about is he's done all these funny movies, like Dodgeball, or people maybe they remember him from hanging out with Drew Barrymore or whatnot.
yeah,
They don't really see him as a horror actor, or they don't mention, even though he was in one of the most famous horror movies ever made. And in fact, it's one of the very few movies that I've watched that actually has stayed with, has set up a tent in my head. But he did it. Um, and there's been other actors that have done that too. You look at them going like, oh, they're known for their comedy, but then all of a sudden you see them in front of horror, and it's like all of a sudden it's like, wow, it's like you've never seen them act before. You never seen them before because they're too busy blowing you away.
yeah.
Um, Yeah. Have you noticed that your performances seem to have a little bit more of an edge to it now? Now that you've done a few thrillers and a few horror. I mean, it's I don't know. It just seems to be you look for those parts a little bit more than you used to. Like you tell your agent,
I
go like, listen, I don't mind if you send me some scripts with horror, or those elements into it. I'm okay with that. So send them on my way.
I would I was surprised at my performance in my film that just released last week, Spring Break Nightmare. I was really happy with how I came across on camera, both in appearance and how I portrayed the character. Uh,
Yeah, you
and
you look really good in that movie, by the way.
thank you.
Yeah, you look great.
But yeah, I mean, I've noticed that too. I think I know, I'm sure we can probably think of some actors who, like Justin Long, who we primarily know them for their earlier comedic roles. And then at some point, they get to make this jump or this leap over into doing a more serious, dramatic role. And, I think that's because, like, comedy's hard. Um,
Yes.
it's hard to be genuinely funny. It's hard to be witty and pick up on stuff and be quick and like do callbacks and all these other things that we like to throw into what we're doing. I mean, you have to be a fast thinker, just totally open, and it I don't know. I think comedy trains your brain to be a better actor because comedy is so quick and so in the now, and especially like being on stage. I mean, yeah, you're always susceptible to hecklers and um, criticism, and I like to think that I welcome that kind of thing, and I'm not afraid of anybody, wanting
No,
to send
no, I
me.
don't, I don't, I don't think you're afraid of anything either. Yeah, yeah, no, I'm getting that, and I'm getting that really strong. Yeah, I mean,
No,
because you know what, it's like, I mean, because I mean, just think about it. Here you are, you doing these movies, the thrillers and and whatnot, and then you're adding the extra layer when you go to turn right around and you go out there and perform, comedy sets because, like you said, comedy, like you said, it's hard. To me that's terrifying. They come up to you and say, yeah, here you got 5 minutes to go out there and have that's your set time, 5 to 8 minutes, and initially you're just thinking going like, Jesus, I won't even have time to even introduce myself, before I'm out the door.
yeah,
But every comic that I've spoken to, not I haven't spoken to a super lot, but I've talked to my fair share, and they always say that is the longest 8 or 9 minutes or 5 minutes that you'll see in your life. That it will drag. It will, and even if you're bombing or you're or hitting, it still drags, because I said, well, doesn't it go by like that if you're on the jazz? And they go, no, it doesn't. You're trying to get the set in, you're trying to get your story out, you're trying to do this. Of course, when it's not so good, when you're trying something new out or whatnot, and it's a little bit struggling or a tough crowd or what have you, then you have that too. Then you have that you have to go through that too. You have to swim through that. Um, all right, we got some comments in the chat, and then we're going to talk a little bit more about spring break because we have a connection to spring break we need to talk about. All right, let me go back here to our lovely chat. Yeah, I want to see the short too, Star Lord. I want to see the cube short. The professor is mentioning Robert Williams, which is obviously everybody's number one comic going to dramatics was Robert Williams. I mean, he was known as a comic, stand-up comic, Happy Days, Mork and Mindy, and then he became one of our finest dramatic actors in his generation. Who would have ever thought that? Who would ever saw that coming? Watching Mork and Mindy, nobody. And anybody says that oh yeah, I saw that, you're a liar, because nobody saw that. I mean, we saw a glimpse of that. We saw a glimpse of that with the world according to Garp, and then all of a sudden that was opening people's eyes, like, wow. And then he just took off, and then that's his amazing career. Let's see. The professor says Spring Break Nightmare just made his hunt list. That should be on Lifetime. Didn't it come out on Lifetime?
came out on Lifetime.
So
Yeah.
there is a chance that it could get home marketed if Sony is behind it. If Sony's behind it, there is a chance that it can get a home release. So we'll keep our fingers crossed. Mark wants to know, what was the most challenging part of that role?
So the role of Becky, she's not like the other girls in the film. She's a bit more reserved. She's not like, the life of the party. She's a good girl. She's fun, but she's still, she's not like gonna be the girl taking shots, and all that kind of thing. And that's not
You're
me.
the killer. You're the killer, aren't you?
I'm what?
You're the killer in the movie, aren't you?
Oh my God, have you not seen it?
Uh, no, I've not seen it, but I'm just gonna take it. The way you said that, I'm going like, yeah, she's the villainess. She killed everybody.
I had people on Twitter who were suspicious of me. So, but yeah, that going into that, and it was funny because people on set and even my friends, when they watched the movie, they were like, "That's not like you." And I know, I mean, I'm acting, but
I'm an
yeah.
actor.
So, sorry.
I'm an actor.
Yeah, I'm acting. So I'm portraying somebody who's a bit more shy and a little reserved and which is just not like me. But I'm a damn actor. I should be able to portray that. Um, so that kind of I always feel like if I'm being presented with a role that is very much unlike me, I tend to look for physical ways to embody that character first, and then the rest of me kind of catches up, if that makes sense. So like
Mhm.
with Becky, like a lot of like kind of holding my arms together, like more like concealed or like shrugging or like like nodding along, like she's trying to be participatory.
They
Just
gave you a cute wardrobe though. Your wardrobe was very cute in that movie.
yeah, so Becky's not like, a stick in the mud. She's not like a prude. Like she, I think, she wants to have fun, but she doesn't want to like, go home with random guys and get, shit faced.
Right.
But she, no, she was still super cute. She looked cute. She got a little bit of
Yeah.
she got some commentary on her Becky is no Sandra D. Becky did not get to have like a Sandra D moment at, like a big uh yeah, so I love my wardrobe. But yeah, on Twitter they had fun with the dress that I wore out when I went to party. When the other girls bring me to party. I guess my dress was not party approved by the folks of Twitter, which was funny.
Uh, Twitter has a love affair with Lifetime movies.
Yeah.
They are very active in Lifetime movies. In fact, I'll be posting this interview up in a few of the Lifetime groups, the family movie groups that I belong to on Facebook. I'll be putting this out there so
Yeah.
people can, yeah. But they love their movies. They
Yeah.
definitely don't hold back in commenting on them. What was
No,
it? What was it? Did you live tweet when you on the for the when the movie came out? Were you part of that? Did they do a live tweeting? Do you read your own press?
um, yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's one day where my career kind of takes off a bit more and there's more press for me to devour. I don't know. But right now I like reading. I mean, I like reading all of it. Like it doesn't, the good, the bad, the ugly, like the bad stuff is not gonna, whatever. But um the live tweeting, I did a Lifetime film a couple of years ago called A Party Gone Wrong, and that was my first experience with Lifetime and with watching the live Twitter feed for a Lifetime film. And it's just, I mean, it's like something to like accompany you as you're watching. Like I couldn't think of now watching a Lifetime film without also, reading the, the live tweets.
Right.
Um, and
How,
and
how
that's
how much fun
it's
is
nice
that?
time.
How much fun is that to be able to do that? Yeah, I'm not on Twitter anymore. But that was before the Lifetime thing became a thing and the Hallmark became a thing. But I see that yeah, we're gonna do a live, we're gonna do a live tweet or whatnot. And I've actually thought about just coming back just to watch one of those. Um,
Yeah.
just to watch one of them in action. Because I mean, I've heard both pros and cons. I've heard actors that have like, yeah, they really like me, and then some that are going like, yeah, he's not all that. He's not all that. She could do better than that. It's just like it's like it takes a little bit of a you feel like you got jumped a little bit. But the fact is that they love it though. They love those movies. Their fans are passionate. They're loyal. If they see you and they recognize you from their movies, and they will respond. If you come out with another Lifetime movie, they'll be there going like, "Oh yeah, I remember this girl from the last movie. Oh yeah, she's really cute. Oh yeah. Well now she's the heart. Now she's the femme fatale. Holy shit! Look at her go. It's got to be it's got to be a boost for you.
Yeah, it was definitely a boost because I mean, Becky, no doubt, if you go back and look at, hashtag spring break nightmare, Becky was definitely the most talked about um, character, uh, which was such a big thing for me because, it's like whether it's good or bad, like I said, it's the fact that they're noticing, that they're paying attention to Becky.
Yeah.
So something about my performance and portrayal of her was enough to get people talking, and that was like really like solidifying to me that I think I did a good job. And
Agreed.
with acting, because it's so subjective. You never, am I doing a good job? Like, I don't know. Sometimes you do a scene and you're like, crap, that was not good. And then you watch it later and you're like, oh no, that was pretty good. So
Right.
it's good to get that recognition.
Um, so you worked with Mike Markoff on this movie.
I did.
So what was it like working with Mike?
Mike, he can come across, he visually, which is I'm sure why he got this part, he can be, his appearances can be intimidating. It's funny, someone that was watching the film with me kind of compared him, he's kind of like a Norman Reedus in The Walking Dead, kind of like, this bad boy, like rough and tough, like still like very attractive, but like,
I was gonna
has
say
an
he's
edge.
I was gonna say he's much better looking than Norman Reedus.
Yeah, we're not in the looks department, but in the
Yeah.
character of that, like that very rugged, like attractive bad boy type.
Yes.
That very much is him. But it's so funny. He, getting to know him. I mean, he's also a cat person, so I related on that front. And
That's cool.
just kind of, I would say he's a little nerdy, and he's obsessed with coffee and cats, and so
You know what? I think I like coffee, but man, that's actually on my bucket list is actually have a cup of coffee with Mike Markoff. Is to actually have a coffee. That really truly is because he is all about the coffee. He loves his coffee, and yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. He gets up in the morning and has the coffee. What was it like? What was it like working with him as a scene partner?
We didn't get to have too many. I mean, early in the film, yes. He there's an improvised line. A lot of, if anybody's watched the film, and if you haven't watched yet, there's a bonfire scene where it comes right before we all go out to party, and a lot of that dialogue is improvised because it's just supposed to feel like a natural bonfire setting amongst, a bunch of teenagers. And uh, at one point, Mike improvises this line where, well, first he's talking about, we should get out of here. We should go somewhere else to party. And I think that was in the script because clearly we needed to get somewhere else. But I can't remember. I think this line was improvised, not sure, but he says, somewhere where we can get Becky a drink. And everyone's kind of like, yeah, Becky, let's get Becky a drink. So that was fun. I mean, he was fun. His major scene partner, the other villain in the film, was also Michael. So we had Mike and Michael, and they were a hoot. I think both of them together, they played so well with each other on and off camera. They're just total goofs. So they definitely kept me entertained off on set. So they were both a tremendous pleasure to work with.
Yeah, he's definitely one of our favorite people for sure. So, oh yeah, Mark saying, spoiler alert. He also says that Mike should be in comedians and in cars, getting coffee. Yes, yes. Of course, you would have to give him the coffee first, though, so we could come out so the comedic side could come out. Coffee always comes first.
Yeah.
Hey, Danny. And he says that Feeder was good. So Danny was watching. He watched Feeder. He said it was very good. I'm going to be watching that too
Oh,
as
good.
soon as this is done. Yes. I love the fact that we can get we can get some of your work on the tube here. Um,
Yeah, especially if it's on YouTube, it's easily
I,
accessed.
since we got off to a little bit later start, I'm going to keep you for just a little bit longer because
Yeah.
I do want to touch bases with you about the comedy um because I love that aspect. There's another actress who is well known in horror too that also is a stand-up comedian. It's the first one I've ever seen. I never saw an actress do a horror film like that and then come out and be known as a stand-up comic.
Mhm.
Her name's Lauren Compton. Um, so let's talk about your journey to the stage. Now you're acting, you're doing all these roles, you're doing the theater and whatnot. So who gave you the push to do comedy? Obviously, you must have been a hoot on set. You must have been making people laugh all the time.
I am always making people laugh. As a matter of fact, there was a there was a day where you know as we were shooting Spring Break Nightmare, we were obviously in constant contact with hair and makeup about how we should be arriving to set and so on. And there was one day where we knew the day before that we were going to be shooting beach stuff the next day, so we were all going to be in bathing suits. And like, without going into too much detail, we needed to be prepared to wear bathing suits. And one of the either wardrobe or ladies from makeup and hair texted all of us and said, hey ladies, you're shooting stuff in your bathing suits tomorrow, so please be prepared for that. And
So bathing
I
suits
totally well knew
bathing
I knew what that meant, but I could not resist texting back and saying, could you be more specific?
Now, were there bathing suits? Was this like the PG-13 bathing suits, or were they talking like bikini bathing suits, Charlie's Angels bathing suits?
No, because we were, we're all, it's Lifetime, and we're all, very, we're portraying very young, 29, I don't know, 2021, age. Um, no, I mean, Becky, she's more conservative. So she's wearing a one piece, a very cute one,
Mhm.
but a one piece. And no, just I think traditional. And the girls, it's obviously, about these two girls who are pro surfers. And so a lot of the time they're wearing their like wetsuits
Right,
over that.
right.
So it, yeah, not, we're not doing like slow-mo runs and stuff. Maybe one day.
Uh, so how did they respond to your comic advice there? Like, what do you mean? Be more specific. Did they turn around and they start doing it, or did they
Oh,
realize that you were pulling your leg?
I have a guest up here. This is
Oh,
um
wow. You got the right color too, orange and white.
oh,
Now, if you look above your head, to your
I
right, I
see.
think
Yeah.
that's my cheetah.
Yeah, so I'm also
Oh
you
my
know,
god.
big fan of the orange cats, and he's
Me
a goof.
I love
Um
I love orange cats. I had a tuxedo, and I was like, "Oh, okay, I'm gonna be a tuxedo guy." But
uh-huh.
after I had a paladin, I
Uh-huh.
just said, "You know what? I'm gonna be an orange guy for the rest of my
Oh
life.
yeah.
I'm gonna
When
be an orange and cat
you have
guy."
orange, oh yeah, when you have orange, you can't go back. I mean, he's
No.
just
Look how look how happy he looks.
oh, you can't beat it. I mean, he loves
Purring.
it.
Yeah. He's a
um
star. Look at that face. Look at that face. Uh-oh, stealing scene. Uh-oh, it's over with now.
Yeah, I actually have an Instagram post where I say, nothing that I ever film or record in this apartment is not at some point interrupted by a cat, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
No, no. During the summer, the cheetah will be more active on here. I have several interviews where we're talking, and he's made himself known by walking in front of the camera.
Oh yeah.
There's several incidents, but wintertime he tends to sleep a little bit more. He's just
Mhm.
waiting for it to warm up. Uh, so here you go. Now, your first time out on stage? Did you think? Did you see yourself going on stage and being a comic? I mean, or did you have to be like, come on, you could do it, you could do it, or did you just sit there and say, okay, let me write something down and see if I can get 5 minutes worth of material? And did you go? Did you do open mic for the first time?
So, um, me becoming a stand-up comic, um, I think a lot of people probably start by, working material, whether they think they are or not, on their friends, and then your friends subsequently are like, you should write that down, or you should do stand-up, and then um, I knew that I wanted to do it because it just seemed like so much fun, and I knew I could be funny in a friend group, which we all know, of course, is it's very different than being on stage. The two things don't always translate from talking to your friends to talking to a room of strangers and having the response be the same. Um, but what I think what catapulted me into finally embarking on that was a couple years ago. I started doing this. There's the word again, immersive cocktail experience. And during that time, there was a lot of freedom there was a very loose script, but there was a lot of freedom to improv and engage with the audience. And I took full, I was fully participatory in that. Um, I couldn't get enough of talking to people and having banter and going back and forth with people and making people laugh and trying different bits and seeing what worked and what didn't. So it kind of almost was like an ongoing open mic for me, because as long as I was still adhering to the actual show, I could do a lot of, additional joke telling and whatnot. And people responded really well to me. And a lot of people after the show was over would ask me, how long have you been doing stand up? Where do you do
Mm.
stand up? And at the time I was like, I don't technically, but that was like the push. And then so one day after that show closed, I was like, I'm not letting this go. I love doing this too much. I don't know where a medium is for me to do it other than stand up. So I'm going to go freaking do stand up because it's more or less the same thing. And I got a few of my friends who were in that show with me. I was like, you guys, we're going to this open mic. Everyone's free. We're going. And there was a bit of some hesitancy, I think, because they were like, well, no, we can't do this. Like, we don't have any experience doing this. And it's like, you guys, we've been doing this for months in front of a crowd full of people. It's just now, it's up to us to kind of write the material, but we know what we're doing. And so me and my three pals went to this open mic and we all got booked to do stand up at that venue. And then it's just gone on from there. Once I got up there and was like, okay, this is just like any other damn stage. I just got to get up here and do my thing, and that'll be it. And
You think your
that's,
theatrical background prepares you really strong for that?
oh yeah. Yeah. I think when I think about, why is it easier for me to, I don't know, deal with criticism or deal with because I don't really get nervous anymore. I just get like anxious and I'm like excited, like I'm ready to
All
go.
right. Yep.
But I don't really get nervous. And I think, I mean, my gosh, like I've been on stage since I was, in the single digits. So at some point it just becomes second nature. Thankfully. I couldn't imagine if I'd been doing this long and still got really nervous. I don't think I could take it.
Well, it does happen. It does happen. I mean, getting up here and talking to people. Sometimes it's absolutely just sitting down and having a cup of coffee. Like tonight. Tonight's just like I have no nervousness, no anxiety. It seems like you and I have known each other forever, and so
Yeah.
I'm really comfortable with that. And of course, having cats, But there are some times where I'm sitting here and I'll be talking to somebody. There it is. Play that ace. There are some times where you sit down and then you do have somebody there you're talking to, and there is that anxiety. It's not nervousness. It's not like I'm intimidation or anything like that. It's just like, okay, it's somebody who I know. It's somebody who like a Grail guest. Someone who like you works your ass off to try to get them, and then you're sitting there, you're just waiting for the bridge to collapse until they pop up. Then all of a sudden, then you almost like physically do it on camera. You feel like, oh, thank heaven, I'm here. And to me, I can almost see you like in the green room, just sitting there going like, okay, okay, okay. And then once you hit the stage, it isn't anxiety that you're feeling; it's relaxation because you are comfortable at home.
Yes,
Yes.
very relaxed. I was thinking about what you said earlier about how, some comedians feel like they're up there forever. But for me, it's like, it's over and done with so quick. I wish I was up there longer. And I got kind of spoiled. The immersive thing that I was doing, that was a 90-minute show. I wasn't
Mm.
talking for that entire 90 minutes, my goodness. But, you know, I was more or less the host for many of those shows. And so a lot of the talking and like presentational aspect of it was coming from me for a great portion of the show. And I just got to kind of relax and lean into that role. And then you transition from 90 minutes to 5 minutes on stage, and you're like, what? Like, I,
Oh, yeah.
I need more. I barely got started. I need, when I would do the immersive thing, it was a thing that I started doing where I would come in and sometimes I would sit down with everybody and just kind of get kind of comfortable. And it's like, how are we all doing? Well, you guys can talk. It's okay, and just get comfortable before we would just take off with the thing. But stand up is so quick.
Um, I, I'll have one more question for you because I don't want to keep you too much longer. But I have one question for you.
Okay.
One more. Obviously you're gonna have to come back because we just barely scratched the surface of this. Plus, we're gonna see what else you got coming up. Um, so that's gonna be the question for you: is what's coming up for you, Lauren, this summer? What's on your docket for your for acting and stand up and singing? I mean, what do you got going this summer?
I still want to do stand up. I have the goal of by the end of this year having an hour long set. And
Wow.
I've already been discussing with actually a local dinner theater to where in Southwest Virginia, where I grew up. We've been talking about the possibility of having me come back and do like a stand up performance, back in my old stomping grounds where I grew up, and hopefully, I want to like, I try to cater my sets to the audience. That's another aspect of it. I like knowing who I'm performing for, so I can adjust my performance to based on who's watching. And I'd want to create something that the people of Southwest Virginia would want to watch. A lot of my sets are catered towards an LA audience, and that's not going to transition. Um, so yeah, I hope more stand up. I obviously hope for more films. Hopefully
Yes.
more thrillers, horrors. I would love to get into doing some sci-fi. So we'll see.
Eric Faulkner is here and says that proud of you. You're doing awesome.
That's my cousin.
I said that you are doing awesome. But listen, I want to thank you for coming out and hanging out with us. Sorry about the earlier snafu. I probably, it just happens. Um, but we got
We
to
got
fix.
there.
Yeah, we got to fix. We had an awesome show. Got to see your cats. The chat has been rocking and rolling for sure. Thank you guys so much for your support. Thank you for supporting our guest, Lauren Faulkner. Of course, her movie right now, Spring Break Nightmare, can be seen on the Lifetime channel. And
Yes.
on Alter, you can go on YouTube on Alter and to see Feeder. And I will actually put a link to that on there. I'll put the link up to Feeder on our description box down below, so you can go take a
Yay.
look at that. Yep. So thank you guys so much. Tomorrow night we are welcoming Ashley Neal. Will be here at 8 o'clock, and she is doing the follow up to Slime Ball Orama Bolorama. It's an instant cult film. That's all I can say. It's an instant cult film. She'll be here tomorrow at 8 o'clock, and so we'll hope to see you guys here for that. Stay right where you're at, Lauren. And for everybody else, I'm going to say good night. We will see you tomorrow night here on 8 Questions With. Once again, thank you for your support. I appreciate it. If you're new to my channel and you want to see what we're doing next, go ahead and hit the sub button, and then hit the notification bell. That lets you know whenever time we do one of these interviews. And after this goes up, leave a comment. Comments are very much welcomed and needed to help the show. If you have a question for Lauren after the show's over with, drop it in the comment section. I will make sure that it gets to her and she answers. All right, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow night. Peace.